tonight. I
I
hope, one second. I hope, like I say every time, I hope you're gaining stuff from these talks. I mean, I talk a lot to the coaches and stuff like that to try and get an idea of what works and what works better. I think, there's something to get out of anything. I know some of you relate more to other things. Some, understand better other things. It's okay. But try and understand. If there's stuff that you were in the talks and don't fully understand and want to understand better, then contact us. Let us, help you through it. So before we jump into our topic today, we're going to try and be more focused. So we're going to talk about two main aspects of hitting. We're going to talk about the approach, and we're going to talk, which basically is what happens right before the at-bat, everything that is before. And then after that, we're going to talk a little bit about what happens during an at-bat. So get into a little bit about pitch recognition, and more importantly, I think pitch anticipation. And kind of, Mitch, one of our better hitters on the team, he'll introduce himself a little bit because I'm not good with history. He'll tell you a little bit about his playing experience, but a really good hitter. From what playing with him and seeing him and watching him, very, very good, competitive and consistent at bats. Most importantly, consistent, no matter what. So a lot of knowledge to take in. And Mitch, why don't I give it to you? Why don't you give him a little introduction? Tell him what's up.
You got it. Good to see you guys. Thanks for having me on. Thanks, Ofir. I know I've met most of you guys. I'm scrolling through here on the chat. I've met most of you guys. So good to see you guys again. And my baseball career and approach, for me, I was never the biggest guy, never the strongest guy, never the fastest guy. So I had to figure out very early in my baseball career how I could find a way to compete at the highest level without those tools that we hear about. The tools, the being able to hit for power, being able to contact, as far as hitting goes. So without and speed also. So with those tools, how can I find a way to have success? And that is through what your approach is. And the best way to figure out what your best approach is, because what my approach is not going to be the same approach as a Blake Galen or a Bobby Paller. We're going to have different ideas of what we want to do when we come up to the plate. So for my hitting approach, and Ofir nailed it, it's something that happens before you're at bat. It's something that happens after at bat. It's something that happens when I'm watching other hitters before me. And it all starts, in my opinion, and maybe you've heard this before. I hope you've heard it before. And it all starts with what your routine is. And I'm just going to give my little stump speech here, because this is the most important thing. When I was in high school, before I was in high school, from 7th grade through college and to now, is if you are bad right now and you want to be good, if you're good and you want to be great, if you are great and you want to be elite, what separates everyone is what their routine is. And routine is what you use to slowly work on your weaknesses while maximizing what your strengths are. So you have to know what your strengths are. You have to know your weaknesses. I know I'm not going to hit 40 bombs in a year. So I might need to work on hitting lower line drives. I can't just dip and rip and hope I'm going to hit bombs all day, because it's just not going to happen. I can hope it is. It's just not. So it's being realistic with yourself too.
Mitch, can I stop you for a second just to clarify something, just so we're on the same. When you talk routine, you're talking about your entire practice routine, right? Your routine to the game itself, to practice, to everything. It's not it's not a routine that we talk about something small that you do before the at-bat, right? Just to.
Good. Yes. Sorry. Yes. So, okay. So it starts, my routines are all over the place, but to be focused and specific, one, it's my workout program's my routine. If right now, I know you guys are all shelter in place, but if you're not finding a way to get stronger right now, then you're behind everyone. You need to have a workout routine that you're doing right now And we can't keep tabs on you. The only person that knows who's getting stronger is you. So if you're not crushing your core right now, getting more flexible, doing yoga, then you're behind 50% of the baseball players, 75% of the baseball players around the world, because they're finding ways to get better. So that might just be what my workout routine is. Now let's get a little more focused on what my hitting routine is. Every time that I pick up a bat that day, and I'm talking over the course of a 100-game season that I'm playing, I have an idea of exactly what I'm going to do that day. So, for example, for you guys, what I'd recommend is it might start with some swings off the tee. So as far as what it is to hit off the tee, I'm not talking you're taking 200 swings. For me, if I'm swinging and I have my tee routine, it might just be 10 to 20 swings. That might just be it. Anything with that, Ofir?
No. I just wanted to see that that we understand the difference between what we're saying about the routine. It's like a whole routine of how I hold myself and what I do. Yeah, just
Yes, I think when I say routine, all I mean is, and it's in every aspect of your life, whether it's when you wake up, you have a morning routine. When I get to the ball field, I have a body dynamic warm-up routine that I'm doing. Routines are everywhere. And all routine is, so you're not just showing up and just doing whatever you feel that day. It's about having a deliberate plan to get better, to create positive habits. So when I say routine, it's just something you do in an orderly manner to create a positive habit. So, and that's what a routine is. Now, how does that routine work into what your approach is an interesting question, because my routine is getting me to be the best player I can be so that I can trust what my approach is. And we can talk about approach if you want now.
yeah, please.
So I wrote down a couple things because it changes throughout a year, and a routine or an approach can definitely be fluid. But I'm going to give you what my default approach was, what I learned when I started learning an approach when I was 13. So what my plan is when I come up to bat, and what my intent is, what I'm trying to do. And so what I think about is hitting. So how far is an average center field wall in the big leagues?
400, right?
400 feet, yeah. So 123 meters or whatever it is. So I'm thinking about hitting a 400-foot line drive off the center field wall. So I'm trying to hit a 400-foot line drive that hits off the pitcher's hat, takes the pitcher's hat with them, and goes off the center field wall. That's my intent. That's what I'm trying to do. Have I ever done that before? No. But in baseball, what's important is what you think versus what you do are two different things. And can you trick yourself to be the best possible, give yourself the best possible opportunity to have success on the baseball field? So what's my default approach when I'm facing just my average right-handed pitcher that doesn't have anything necessarily blow up by me? It's not too slow. It's just that right hitting speed, or maybe it's my first round of BP. I'm trying to hit that ball, that 400-foot line drive off the center field wall. And what does that do? So by thinking about that 400-foot line drive through the center field wall, one, I have to get a good pitch to hit. I can't hit that 400-foot line drive off the center field wall with a pitch that's painting the outer half of the plate on the black, or a pitch that's on the inner half. I can't stay inside of it, hit it to center field. So I'm looking to get that pitch in the middle portion of the plate, and I can hit that pitch. So I have to get a good pitch. That's number one. And at the end of the day, the most simple approach when you're going good is see ball, hit ball. See the ball, hit the ball. That's as simple as it gets. See ball, hit ball. But what I'm doing by thinking 400-foot line drive to center is I'm giving myself a little bit of time, so I can giving myself a little bit of room for air. If I'm a little bit early, line drive left center. A little bit late, line drive right center. A little bit under the ball, okay, it's a deep fly ball, not a pop out. a little bit on top. Okay, it's a hard ground ball, not a chopper. So I'm trying to give myself the most possible room for air with my approach. Ofir, any of the coaches, any questions with that? Or anything you want me to go with?
Yeah, I mean, and guys, you can feel free to jump in and ask questions, or just
Yeah, please.
raise your hand or write me in the chat, and we'll get it. Uh, I think what I find like the biggest, one of the biggest things to kind of overcome or understand, I think, is, and you kind of touched it, right? You said I have this approach, right? I'm looking for a good ball to hit. If I'm looking to hit the ball, if my approach is to hit the center field, so I look for a ball in the middle of the plate, in a height where I can drive. And then the other thing we say, see ball, hit ball as an approach. And I know for myself, and I'd like to hear from you, and obviously disagree with me with everything that you feel, is that in order to see the ball and hit the ball, I need to have a very good idea of what ball I want to hit. I mean, I can't just go up there saying, see ball, hit ball, and cover the entire plate. I mean, I think, to me, that was very, I mean, in times where I played, where I struggled hitting more, was when I wasn't clear about what I was looking for. So I guess that, look at you, my goodness. Wow, that's nicely prepared. Good job.
Yeah.
So please, yeah, just on that. I think.
Yeah. So just so you guys know more about me, I kind of skimmed over, I guess, my introduction of myself. So the last 3 off seasons, when I'm not playing, I'm coaching. And so I'm a Division I college coach in the U.S. with Chicago State University. We're not one of the best Division I programs. And I'm really lucky. It gives me a lot of time. The head coach gives me a lot of autonomy to work with the players. And I do hitting, defense with them, outfield, infield, base running stuff. So it's amazing to work with these Division I college athletes and realize at the end of the day, it comes down to the fundamentals. It comes down to the same thing, guys, that your coaches are teaching you right now. It's the same thing that we're teaching at the Division I college level. It's the same thing that coaches. And so during the season, I'm also a hitting coach with the professional team I play with. I'm a player coach, which is kind of cool. So it's the same stuff. The approach, this talk that we're having, this is not just a 13 to 18U conversation. This is conversations that we have at the professional level, at the Division I college level, at all levels of baseball. So this is a drill that we do for pitch recognition, and just to make sure that our players have some plate discipline, and they need to know where the ball is. So I made a home plate out of a towel.
Yeah.
I don't know if you see it. You see it okay? Can you hear me all right?
Yeah.
So first off, how many balls go across a home plate where you look? Anyone know how far across a home plate is?
It's 6 inches.
A ball, yes, a ball is.
No, home plate is.
Home plate is 17.
17 inches. So how many balls fit across it?
That's math.
6. Well, I think Alone said 8. What did you? So for a plate?
I mean, before you did the math, I said 8, but now I'm doubting myself.
No, why? It's 2.5 inch.
Yeah, so 7 or 8.
7 balls. So
7, okay.
So the pitch that's right down the middle, that's number 4. And so we have the whole plate covered. So a pitch that's on the black on the inner half for a right-handed hitter. So for a right-handed hitter, 1 is the pitch on the inner half, 7 is the pitch on the outer half, and 4 is the pitch that's right down the middle. So what we do during flip is I'll give a flip, and the hitter will tell me what number that pitch was. He'll say, oh, that was a 2.5. Oh, that was a 5.5. And so maybe I'll say, okay, we're going to work here 3 to 6. So only swing 3 to 6. And so when I hit during the season, I will go up to the plate when the coach is flipping to me, and I know I'm working outer half of the plate. And so I will take away 1, 2, and 3. I'll take away 7. and I'll leave 4 through 6 on there, and I'm only going to swing at pitches that come across in my strike zone that I'm trying to attack that cover 4 through 6. And if it's a 2, I'm taking. If it's a 7, I'm taking. If it's a -1, take. 8, take. So it is forcing me to focus on swinging at the right pitches. And for coaches, what's nice about it is those kids that come back to the plate or come back to the bench after striking out and they're like, oh, that was way off the plate. But you know when you're doing the flip drill that they have no idea where the ball is, you know if you can trust them or not. So it's a good awareness for you as a hitter to know where your strengths are and where your weaknesses are on the plate, and a good way to practice with some focus so you're not just up there and swinging. Because that's what hurts, I think, players the most is when you just get up there during flip, because guess what? Pitchers never flip it in. So when you're doing your flip routine, and I can tell you guys if you want to know, if you're curious what my flip routine is, I'm happy to share it. It's not rocket science, and it's going to be different from maybe what you need to focus on. But when I'm doing my flip routine, I have a plan of what I'm going to do. And if you want to focus on 2 to 5, and you want to hit rockets into the left center gap, that's also great. But then that means that you can't be swinging at 7, because you might be able to get away with it swinging at 7 during flip. But if you're swinging at 7 during flip, when you're focused on driving a ball into the left center gap for a right-handed hitter, then you're going to swing at that pitch in a game when a guy's throwing 90 miles an hour, and you're probably going to end up rolling over or fouling it off. So it might have been a little, I don't know if that makes sense to you guys. If I explain
it does. I tell you what I really like about it is having the numbers also give us a visual and verbal cue to relate to one another, and also to visual. I think once we use, I like it. I didn't see that. I think it's very important to have a good visualization of what I did wrong or where did I miss. So I like it.
Yeah, and it doesn't cover up and down, right? So you need to know what your level of up and down is that you want to hit. So what it looks like is I'll be getting someone will be flipping, and there'll be 7 balls across the plate. And so then I'll swing, and after the swing, I'll say, okay, 3. And then usually there's a guy behind that's there to confirm what it was. And you'll say what the number was. You'll say it out loud. There's something special about saying things out loud when you're working on something, because it keeps yourself accountable to what you're working on. So you don't just keep swinging. Again, that's what can get us in trouble as hitters, is just going through the motions of it instead of every swing having a purpose. What is it? It was one of my favorite quotes. It was Bruce Lee said, "I don't fear the man that practices 1,000 different kicks one time. I fear the man that practices one kick 1,000 times." So to have that focus and focus on what you're working on, that one thing, your swing, what your best swing is, that's going to make you the best version of yourself. So any questions with that, fellas? Cool. So along with the okay, I'll go through kind of what I'm working on so you guys can kind of understand what my routine is. And you know, don't say this to your coaches, but I actually stopped hitting off when I was before the shelter in place. Which stinks, is I stopped hitting off of the tee because I was having an issue. And something I want you guys to be aware of when you're hitting is when you hit off the tee too much, there's something that can happen, and you can start inward turning your shoulder too far. And so I was on video. I got on one of my buddies. He works for one of the highest tech baseball hitting companies. Pretty cool. It's called Elite Baseball. And the leader's the director of hitting for the Cubs. So I was on like 4 pieces of tech. I had a K-vest. There was a hit tracks. There was the blast. I was on a force plate. And so we're looking at my swing. And what we found was I had a really big inward turn. And so if I have a really big inward turn, what do I have to do to swing? I need to clear the shoulder. So it's really difficult to be consistent if you're inward turning too far. So, and what does a tee create sometimes? It can create this inward turn because I can hit this as far as I want off the tee. The ball's not moving, so it can create an issue. So what I did is, I would start with flip. And with flip, what I like to do, and what I've seen a lot of other big league hitters do, is I'll start no stride. And again, this is my routine. It changes a little bit. It's malleable. It can change, but there's the same formula to it. So I'll take my first round of 5 of flip, and I'll almost go to a post stride position, and I'm going to keep my feet cemented to the ground. I'm going to go to a good hitting position. I'm going to see the ball. I'm not going to try to turn to load. My hands are already loaded, and I'm just focusing on hitting the ball, delivering my barrel on time, up the middle, off that top of the L screen. So something that would turn into that 400-foot line drive. Another trick that I like to do is I like to set up the tee, and I'll put the tee on the outer half of the plate. So I'll put the tee right here in the outer half of the plate, and I'm not going to hit that tee there. But what it forces me to do is it forces me to keep my hands closer to my body. My hands can't get away from my body. My hands get away from my body, I'm in trouble. So having this tee right here is just going to force me to feel my hands stay tight to my body as I deliver my swing through the baseball. And I'm keeping the reason why I'm keeping my feet on the ground is so I can feel how my body wants to work. So, because I want to feel my hip drive through the baseball, and that's what I want to take. That's where my back foot will come off the ground. So I'm not just going to turn it, but I'm going to force my back hip to take my back foot off the ground. And so after I do a couple I'll do a round with my feet on the ground. The second round will be the same thing, but now my foot will just come off the ground, my back heel. So the second round, I don't know if you guys can see, but the second round is just my back hip. So now my foot will just come off the ground, but I'm not forcing it to do it. I'm not trying to just turn it. I'm trying to let my back hip take me off the ground. And then the third one is then my normal swing, and that's off of flip. So, and that's my flip routine that I do and that I'm trying to feel to make sure my shoulders aren't inward turning and to make sure that my back hip is what's driving my back foot off the ground. And that's my flip routine. And so now, as far as how approach fits into that. Okay, so I know that I'm really good at hitting the ball up the middle. That's my focus. Now, a lot of hitters get into trouble. They think that their mechanics are all messed up. When they start struggling a little bit, they're like, oh, I need to change this. I need to change my hand position. I need to change my stance. I need to change all this. I would say 90% of the time, the reason why we're struggling is because we're swinging at bad pitches. And maybe you've heard that before. The reason why we're struggling isn't because my mechanics are off, but it's because we're not swinging at good pitches. So I like to use the 7-ball drill so I can make sure I know I'm swinging at the right pitches. And shoot, I can use the 7-ball drill not just for flip. I like to use it for front toss. So I'll get the coach to sit down from about 30 feet away, about 6 to 8 paces away, and I'll have them throw seated. And then after that, we'll back it up and do a normal BP, and I'll keep those balls there so I know what pitches I'm trying to attack and keeping myself accountable that I'm swinging at the right pitches. And again, I'm thinking about that 400-foot line drive to center field. Something that Manny Ramirez would talk about and is this crazy concept of pulling the ball to center field. And I don't know if you guys have ever heard that before. I'm going to pull the ball to center field. So that might mean something different to everyone. So maybe it's pulling the ball in the left center gap, but he's saying pull the ball to center field. And pretty much, to me, what that means is I'm not going to be late. My barrel is going to be behind. So I'm not just going to hit that ball to center field that has side spin, and so it fades into right field. I'm going to hit that. I'm going to pull the ball to center field so it has that true backspin and carries into center field. So, and that's what being on time is. That means delivering the barrel, because the secret to hitting is being able to consistently deliver the barrel on time to the baseball when it meets you, when it gets there. So as far as timing and hitting the ball to center field, that's what I'm trying to say with what my default approach is. When the count's 0-0, I'm starting out an inning, or there's 2 outs, no one on, what I'm trying to do is I'm thinking about that 400-foot line drive to center field to give me more room for air.
Mitch, does your approach change? Let's say if you have like 2 strikes, would it still be that line drive, 400-foot line drive?
Okay, nice. So one of my favorite things to talk, I think, in baseball is the 2-strike approach. And there's a lot of guys that say, oh, like, why am I going to change my swing when there's 2 strikes? And there's guys that can do that, because there's guys that are 6'4" and 230 pounds and can miss hit a ball and hit it out of the park. Okay. But I'm pretty sure that there's no one here that can do that. There's very few guys I've ever played with that can do that, because those guys are probably in the big leagues right now. So as far as what we value, and especially what I value and what I'm playing, and what we value as coaches and for our players and in the college level, is there is a premium where guys can put the ball in play with 2 strikes. Because if you can put the ball in play with 2 strikes and move the baseball, we're putting pressure on the defense, and defenses aren't elites at the non-big league level, at the non-professional level. If we put the ball in play, we have a chance. So to answer your question, Atan, what am I changing my approach with 2 strikes? I'm going to modify my approach. So, and maybe you guys have heard this before. This is not rocket science. If you guys have heard, with 2 strikes, be on time to the fastball away. With 2 strikes, look away, react in. What I like to do with 2 strikes, and those things work, and it's essentially the same thing. What my 2-strike approach is if this is me hitting the ball to center field, with 2 strikes, I like to think about hitting that line drive off the second baseman's forehead. So I'm not just trying to make contact. I'm not just trying to hit the ball. Because the language we use is also important when we're talking to ourselves. Self-talk's really important. I'm sure Pen Praise, Zach talked about that, our self-talk. So I'm not just talking about hitting the ball. I'm talking about driving the ball at the shortstop's forehead, or driving the ball in the right center gap. And it took me a long time to work on my 2-strike approach. I started in high school. I was crap at it. Started my first year in college, crap at it. Then my college coach took me in and said, hey, Mitch, let's talk about this. And my sophomore year, I got a little bit better. And then my junior year of college, I led the nation in toughest to strike out. I struck out 1 time my junior year of college, and I led the NCAA. And like, oh my gosh, this is clicking. And so what it is just by moving the field to right center, what is that doing? So by doing that, I'm thinking about being on time to the fastball away. So if I'm on time to the fastball away, I'm hitting the ball into right center. If that pitcher gives me a fastball away, I'm going to drive it in the right center gap. Thank you very much. If he gives me a fastball, I'm not going to be late. I'm not going to be on time. I'm most definitely not going to take a fastball over at 6 for a strike. That's the pitch I'm ready for. And so because I'm on time to the fastball away, I'm waiting just a little bit longer. I'm giving myself time to see the pitch. And by giving myself time to see the pitch, what does that allow me to do? Well, pitch recognition, right? If I'm giving myself time, then if he throws me, what do pitchers like to throw with 2 strikes?
Curveball.
Junk. So if he throws me junk and I'm thinking fastball away, well, great. I'm having time to see it. And I'll tell you what, the furthest balls I've hit are with 2 strikes, breaking balls, where they leave over the plate, because I'm thinking, okay, fastball away. Oh, there's a breaking ball up, and I catch that breaking ball and all of a sudden it's a double in the left center gap if he makes a mistake. Or at very least, I have time to recognize it and foul it off. So, yes. So being on time to that fastball away, moving the field over for a righty to second base, and for a lefty, maybe it's over the shortstop. So, and as the pitchers get better, if a pitcher's throwing 92 with a nasty slider, well, maybe I can't really think on time away. I might have to stay towards the middle of the field because I don't want to be late. So it can change. But as far as what my default two-strike approach is you can think about that line drive over the second baseman's head. Now, for the players, a little baseball IQ question. We'll see if you've been following, because I'm sorry if it's getting off track a little bit. I hope you're following. But if that's my approach with two strikes, then what is the one pitch that can beat me, that I'm letting the pitcher beat me with two strikes? I don't know, Ofir, if you can see if someone raises their hand or if they just want to jump in, go for it, fellas.
Who wants to say? Don't worry. You can be wrong.
Yeah, be wrong. That's what it's all about.
Oh, good.
Zev, you want to say something?
I have an idea.
I got my answer.
Yeah, no, what do you want? What is it?
I think fastball high and inside.
Anyone else?
I was going to say also inside fastball, because if you're waiting on the outside pitch and an inside pitch comes, then you're going to be way behind it.
Nice. Okay. So if I am on time to the fastball away, the pitch that's going to beat me is going to be the fastball in. Definitely the fastball up and in. Fastball up and in, there's very few people that can hit that pitch. So fastball in is going to be the pitch that can beat me. How many pitchers do you know with an 0-2 count have the balls, have the chutzpah to throw the ball, throw a fastball on the inner half? Because they're scared they're going to hit you. They don't want to do that. And so if they do throw a fastball in, you just have to battle and foul it off. And you know what? If he throws a strike, you just tip your cap, and that's what you can do because he made a good pitch. But pitchers don't like doing that. So let's make two strikes work to our strength.
And here, let's take it to another point. Say now, pitchers, all right? Own your skill enough where you're not afraid to throw a two-strike fastball inside.
Mm-hmm.
There was a tournament once when we played, I remember with Fallon, we played, I think it was in Croatia, and there was, that tournament where things clicked for him as well, and he dominated his fastball. And when he dominated the inside part, pitchers who can dominate an inside part of the plate are a lot more effective. It's a lot harder to control that part of the plate. A lot. That's the flip side of it. So pitchers, own your skill there. And like Mitch said, most hitters are going to give that up. Are going to say, all right, I'm just not – because if you're covering outside, you're covering soft. You're covering outside. You're covering everything better. So you'd rather give that inside off.
And so so in order to do that, some guys are better at recognizing breaking pitches. Some guys are better at recognizing spin, and you have to see it in order to get better at it. So if I'm thinking be on time to the fastball away, I still need to be able to recognize spin. And some people are better at it than others. And there's certain drills that we can do to get better at it too. But the best thing you can do is just see that spin, and you can work on that approach in flip. Have your coaches throw you BP from a seated position, where don't make BP this thing where, oh, I want to feel good. I don't know when BP turned into this like, oh, I want to feel good to hit bombs. It doesn't do me any good to hit. I can hit bombs in BP. I can, but does it make me better? No, because it doesn't simulate what I'm actually doing in a game. I want to feel like I've had a couple at bats before the game's even started. So one of my rounds of BP is I think about two strikes. And so I'm going to ask my coaches, throw that breaking ball with two strikes. Try to keep me honest. Throw it inside so I can work on those things, not just in game, but I can also work on my approach in different counts, different situations, also during BP, also during flip. Another thing with two strikes in time
Well, I think Josh has a question.
that I like to do. I don't make any that I like to do. is I choke up, and I choke up with no strikes, and I just have better control of the bat with when I'm choked up. I like choking up on the bat. I don't think it's for everyone, but for me, I definitely choke up. And the other thing you can do is you can widen out. You can widen out your stance a little bit so you have less room to cover with your foot. Your stride's not as long. So it's just simplifying your swing, putting the highest percentage swing on so you can put the ball in play. And you see a lot of big league hitters do it. I mean, you see Rizzo hit with 2 strikes. He's right on top of the plate.
Juan Soto also.
Soto, absolutely. So there's lots of guys. This isn't something that's just done at the little league level. This is things that people are doing, people are thinking about and trying to apply to their game at the big league level too. So don't be afraid to look stupid doing any of this stuff.
Yeah. And also, Josh, I got you, Josh, but remember, it doesn't mean don't swing hard. All right? Let's differentiate our 2 strikes approach. Okay, I'm choking up, I'm covering the plate. Maybe I'm simplifying, but I'm not peppering my swing. I mean, if I take a swing, it's still going to be a full swing. So make sure you understand that. Yeah, Josh wants to.
If hitting in the cage and that's not so, like it's now become a show more than what you're not working on something, then why do so many coaches and like showcases, they put a lot of emphasis in your BP rounds and like they really care about that if guys are just trying to hit dingers.
Right. So BP is great for a couple things. For scouts and for coaches, they can see the player's raw power. They can see how hard they're hitting the ball. They can hit the ball. So I think that's why we do it. Now, as far as the cage is great. BP is great, but it's only as great as you are making it, as much as you're challenging yourself, as much as you're making game-like situations. So, for example, let's talk another aspect of approach, Josh, that you led me into is there's a difference between team at-bats and individual at-bats. So pretty much I have my approach where I'm hitting that 400-foot line drive where I'm trying to do damage. I'm going to be on time to the fastball. And then I have my 2-strike approach. Those are the 2 basic approaches. There's 2. You know, I don't think there's a 1-0, a 2-0, a 1-0. It's either 2 strikes or not 2 strikes. And then there is team at bat versus individual at bat. So for a team at bat is when runner on second, nobody out. What's my job? I need to find a way to move him over to third base or score him. Runner on third, less than 2 outs. That's a team at bat. That's a team situation. Even if there is a runners on first and second and I get the bunt sign, that's a team at bat. I'm going to do something for the team. Now, no one on, nobody out. That's an individual bat. I'm going to let it loose. I'm going to let the dog eat. And then with 2 outs, no one on, I need to get on base. That's an individual bet. I'm gonna get on base. If I hit a single, I'm gonna steal second. But I'm gonna try to hit a double so I can get into scoring position for the next guy. So there's a difference in your approach when there's a team at bat versus an individual at bat, and you need to know what your job is and what your approach is in those team at bat situations.
Yeah, Ziv.
I wanted to ask if your approach or mentality kind of changes on the first pitch. You know, statistics show that swinging on the first pitch proves to be more effective. Do you kind of play that into your game at all?
Absolutely. So I'm different from, like we talked about how I'm different from a Danny Valencia, where Danny can leave the yard at any time, at any count, any pitch. And the best thing I might do is hit a double. So you have to know your game. So if I'm leading off an inning and the score's 0-0, and you know what, even if I hit the ball really hard my first pitch and it's a line out, it was a great swing, great approach. I hit the ball hard, but did that help the team? Because I got out on 1 pitch. So for me personally, I'm not scared to hit with 2 strikes. So I'm not scared to be really selective 0-0 and battle later in the count. because I know I still have 2 more strikes to work with. Now, at the same time, if I'm in the middle of the order, if I'm hitting 3, 4, 5, 6, or if I have a runner in scoring position, I am absolutely ready to hit with a runner in scoring position first pitch. So every hitter should always be ready to hit. Always be ready to hit. So you are swinging until you decide you're not swinging. That's why when I'm coaching, I think takes are one of the most important things to watch, because I want to see that when you take, that you are ready to hit, that you had that intent to drive the ball versus one of these takes. There's no intent there. I was just taking all the way. I wasn't getting my timing. So to be able to have a good take, to be swinging till, oh, I'm not swinging, have that intent every single time. So yes, absolutely be ready to hit first pitch. I love swinging first pitch. It's a great thing to do because you're probably getting a fastball. But if that pitcher, and this is where it comes down, where we're talking approach, and we say it starts before you're at bat. It starts not even when you're in the hole. It starts before you're in the hole. Because what if that pitcher's a little bit wild and all over the place, and I'm confident that he doesn't have anything to beat me with 2 strikes? Then I might be okay only sitting. You know what? If this is, I'm ready to hit, if this is from 3 to 5, but that's it. It's got to be 3 to 5 or I'm not swinging. So you guys know what I mean by 3 to 5 now. I'm talking about the pitches. I'm just talking 3, 4, 5. That's it. If it's not over here, I'm not swinging. And that's the concept of with your approach, and maybe you've heard it before, is being selective and aggressive, or aggressive selective. Selective aggression is a phrase that goes around baseball that I think is awesome, because I'm being patient. I don't like guys say, oh, well, Glasser, he's just so patient up there. And that's a compliment, right? It's good to be patient. But as a hitter, I don't want to think about myself as being patient, because that's passive. It's not action to it. I'm being selective. I'm choosing that pitch. Just like I say with 2 strikes, I'm not just hitting the ball 2 strikes. I'm just driving the ball. I just have a plan with how I'm driving the ball.
Mitch, I have a question. How do you, like during the game, as the game progresses, how do you find cues to anticipate certain pitches? That's one. And would you, let's say you recognize a pitcher is not controlling one of his pitches, right? Like he's not, he's either not locating his fastball, he can't locate his off speed. Would you give up on that pitch, say like, all right, I'm just not even looking for that, and just completely sit off speed or sit something else? So just these 2 things. How would you know what to look for from a pitcher?
Yeah. I think that's so. A couple things that go into that. The only way I'm going to know, and the way that we watch the game, so the only way I'm going to know if this pitcher is locating which pitches, if he can't throw his curveball for a strike, if he can only throw his fastball for a strike, the only way I'm going to know that is not just from my 2 previous at-bats I had off that pitcher. The only way I'm going to know that is if after I flew out to right field weekly and hit that soft ground ball to third base, and I'm pissed, I'm pouty, I'm sitting on the bench, and I'm not watching the game, it's going to be really hard for me to be ready to hit my next time. So, or maybe if I rip 2 doubles. So I want to be watching the game, especially watching the other hitters that are similar to me. So I'm watching how that pitcher is working the other right-handed hitters. Is he starting with a fastball away every single time? So by watching the game, watching other hitters that resemble you, you can see how that catcher and how that pitcher are trying to work those hitters. So that's the best way to anticipate what's coming. Now, with that, to answer the question about do I ever sit certain pitches, absolutely. At the same time, I'm not going to let a pitcher take me out of my approach. If I know that I'm not good at hitting curveballs, then I'm not going to sit on a curveball. I'm going to make him throw that fastball for a strike. Or just like if I sit breaking ball and he throws me a fastball, I have to be okay with taking that fastball. And if I'm going to beat myself up over missing that fastball right down the middle because I was thinking breaking ball, then I'm not going to do that. I'm just going to stand the fastball and recognize the off-speed pitch, and I can just take it. So still working to what your strengths are. So for me, I like to stand the fastball because one of my strengths is being able to pick up spin early. That's one of my strengths. Being able to battle with 2 strikes and put the ball in play, that's my strength. Being able to get on base, that's what I know I'm good at. So I'm going to maximize my ability to do that every single at bat by learning as much as I can and getting as much intel as I can from previous at bats.
I think this is a good point.
And that's why I keep every time I hit, I come back to the bench and I'll write some notes. And it can be a simple note as this pitcher freaking sucks, or just something like, okay, hey, 0-1 fastball away, or 0-2 he wanted to do this first. And I'll note who the pitcher was, and I also note who the catcher was, because in a professional season, you play teams again, and you can pick up patterns. If the catchers are calling the games, it doesn't matter who the pitcher is. You can see how the catchers are working too. So that's just another next level thing you guys can think about.
I think a key point to drive in, and to kind of guys to pay attention to is that no matter what, we are always still working towards our strength, right? And it's true from both sides of the plate. I think from both the pitchers and the hitters. You have to know what you're good at, and you have to know that this is what we're working. If I'm a pitcher, I'm not worried about whether the hitter is a good fastball hitter or curve. I mean, I do worry about it, but the point is that I am controlling my strength. If I don't have a good curveball and the hitter is not a good curveball hitter, but I decide to throw a curveball that's not what I'm good at, I'm not going to do good at it. Right? Same as a hitter. If I'm not like Mitch said, if I'm not a good curveball hitter, then before 2 strikes, there's not even a point in trying. I mean, why put yourself in a position to fail or to fail easier, I think.
Nice. Yeah. Another thing I'll throw in there, what I like to do, especially like now during quarantine for us, like what are ways, how can I work on my pitch recognition, or how can I work on hitting when I don't have a cage, when I don't have a tee, when I don't have space. And I mean, do you guys know who Eric Thames is? Do you know that name? He led the American League in homers, I think maybe like 5 years ago, maybe less. And he played baseball. He revamped his career playing in Korea. And he talked about something that I never did before. And now almost every team does this. And it's something that they do. They have VR, either goggles or they're just watching TV, virtual reality stuff. And I can do it. I'd set it up in my house so I can do it. I have a small little apartment, but I have a little open space right here. And you can kind of see my TV in the background. And so if I pull up games on my TV, I can stand here and I can watch the pitcher delivering the pitch, and I can work on my timing, and I can even swing, but just working on my load, working on my timing. Those are things that are going to play for when you can get outside again, because you can actually see a pitcher's arm. You can see when it's time to get ready. So those are little things that you can do. That's something that Eric told me that he did. He had this big open space in his apartment, and so he'd pull up games so that he could practice and get at-bats, get mental at-bats in, and even see that pitcher that he's facing the next day before he gets in the batter's box.
So that's a way to work on pitch recognition.
Is that also from even if you're watching from the center field view, so behind the pitcher?
Yeah, even if I'm watching from the center field view, it's fine with me. I can, and it's nice because I can also see the hitter. So if I'm watching a really good hitter hit, I can see, and if it's a hit, especially if it's a hitter that's similar to me, I can see when he's getting ready. I can see when he's starting his gather, when he's starting to slowly move back, because the whole idea of being on time, it's so vague. Like, oh, be on time. I don't know if you guys heard that before, but I remember I heard it all the time growing up. I'm like, I don't know what that means, man. I just be on time, so I'm late, or I'm early. Be on time. What does that mean? And so I think that's where I get into trouble sometimes, and I've probably done it this talk where it's vague, and we want to be direct with what we're saying. And so what does being on time mean? And so if I'm thinking about hitting a 400-foot line drive, being on time is getting my barrel, being ready to hit. So when I see that pitch, I'm ready to go. There's nothing that, oh, okay, swing, and then my hands are still back here, still floating behind me, and now my barrel's late to contact. So being on time to me is starting early, but that just means that I start early and I have the readiness to swing whenever I want. And that's something that a guy like Robert Paller, Bobby Barrels, he has an unbelievable readiness. He's always ready to swing. And that's something that comes with, and how can that help with pitch recognition? Well, when I start early, this back foot, my back heel, is going to stay on the ground. As I advance forward, I'm keeping my back foot on the ground as long as I can, because the longer that I can stay back, and just stay back doesn't mean that like Ichiro, right? He'd come forward when he hit a lot. He'd have a big forward move, but his head always stayed behind his center line as he came forward. So if I can stay behind that center line as I come forward, it's giving me more time to recognize what pitch is coming in and recognize if it's going to be a ball or a strike. So all those things tie in together to figure out how I can make sure I'm swinging at the best pitches for me. Anything else, Ofir? Or any of the other guys, any questions?
Hey, Mitch.
I think Nathan has a question. He's just stuck for a second. Let's see if he. Yes? Nope. You're stuck, Nathan. What's up? I don't know. I guess he's stuck.
Stuck.
What about you guys? Any more? We talked about a few different things today so far. You know, we talked about the approach at the plate. How do I establish an approach a little bit, right? Where is my strength? What do I want to focus on? What do I want to do? Different approaches.
Two-strike hitting.
Yeah, you got to. I mean, I think one of the biggest things, and for me, when I was, and these things they come together. I think it's important for you kids to understand. When I have a good approach, all right. When I have an approach, I'm more confident. When I have a good one, I'm even more confident in it. And then I'm not as afraid to get into two strikes because I'm confident in what I'm doing. When I'm not afraid of two strikes, I do more damage with the first two strikes because I'm that much more confident in them and I'm picking what I'm doing. And it comes and goes. I mean, like you said, when I played in South Africa, there was a time where I had a very consistent approach. At least I knew what I was doing and I wasn't afraid of two strikes. You know, I knew that I wasn't seeing something too overpowering or anything, but it didn't matter. I knew I would at least put the ball in play, hit it hard somewhere, and you don't get struck out. And when you don't get struck out, you can do a lot of damage. But that kind of sidetrack. Your approach, a good approach will lead to confidence in the hitting zone. Confidence with two strikes leads to quality first and second strike hitting. Right? That's important to remember. It's not, oh, I'm good with two strikes, so I'll wait for two strikes. It's because I know I'm good with two strikes. I know I can be that much more selective and aggressive on the first two that I want to bounce on. I think that's the important thing to remember.
Yes.
Right, Mitch?
I had a question.
You go, Josh.
Yes.
Let's say you can't hit a certain pitch. So let's say before the game, you had a previous at-bats against the guy and you can't hit his curveball. How do you have the same mentality that you're going up to swing at like anything? You're ready to swing if you can't hit that.
Hit the fastball.
No, but you have to change your mentality then. No.
Right. So All right. So the question is, you face this guy before, you know you have what's going to be my best approach. So if I come into that situation, what I'm probably going to do, and let's just say that he has how hard he throws. It's not terrible. It's maybe a little faster than usual, which is probably why his breaking ball is harder to hit, because I'm trying to be ready to hit his fastball, and then I'm way too early to his breaking ball. So if it's a guy that throws soft and he doesn't have that much of a fastball, it's that call it a thumber, someone who just throws slow. Then instead of thinking about that 400-foot line drive to center field, I'm going to play a mind trick, and I'm going to think about hitting a ball down the first base line because he throws so slow. And so I'm actually going to be on time. And just because I'm thinking first base line, I probably end up hitting it to left center because the guy throws so slow. Now, if it's a guy that throws a little bit harder and his fastball is a little bit harder, and I'm thinking line drive center field, and that first pitch I get, I foul it off and I'm late, well, then maybe I can't think line drive center field. I can't think 400-foot line drive center field. Maybe I need to trick myself, and I need to think line drive left center field, and that'll get me on time. So if that's that guy that I can't hit his breaking ball, or I have trouble hitting his breaking ball, then I want to make sure when I get that fastball that I'm on time for it. So time up, trick yourself. So when you get that fastball, you're ready to hit it. You're on time to the fastball, so you don't need to deal with that breaking ball. And then hopefully, if you do get that breaking ball, you can recognize it so you don't swing at it. And hopefully it breaks out of the plate, because there's different kinds of breaking balls. There's guys that throw breaking balls for strikes, and there's guys that throw breaking balls. They look good, and then they drop out of the zone. So does that answer your question, Josh, a little bit? Bottom line is, if you can't hit the breaking ball, hit the fastball.
Yeah. And also, I think, remember, look, if you're struggling with a certain pitch and the pitcher is able to execute that pitch well on you, then sometimes you just have to tip your cap. I mean, sometimes the pitcher just, pull one down. I mean, it's just that. You go out, don't change who you are as a hitter. I mean, if you're happy with it, if you're good with where you're at, okay? Because one pitcher has your number, or you're struggling with a specific pitcher or pitch. Now, if you can't hit a breaking ball as a fact, that's something you need to work on at this level. All right? That's something else. You have to be able to hit a breaking ball. It might not be the pitch you're looking for. It might not be what you're hitting consistently, but you have to. If it's a specific breaking ball, someone's, just has a nasty slider, it just happens. It's okay. Most of the levels you'll face, you'll be able, as long as you're competitive, you'll be able to compete. If you're competing. So that's that.
What's up, Mitch?
You're back.
Yeah, I'm back. I had a question. You spoke a lot about timing, right?
Yeah.
The word timing a lot. If you could explain to some of the guys what rhythm and timing is for you, because it's a phase that a lot of coaches throw out there, and they actually knows how to explain what timing is and what getting in rhythm means off a pitcher.
Right.
So, dig a bit deep on that.
Yeah. So, I mean, rhythm and timing to me, and again, this is to me, and you need to make it, everything that I say, you have to translate it into what it means to you as a hitter. So rhythm and timing, to me, hitting is absolutely a dance. Hitting, we are having a dance with the pitcher. So as he's doing his windup or he's in his stretch, I'm also getting my rhythm, my timing going. So, and there's different drills that I like to do to help work on my timing. So, like, for example, a couple things that come to mind, or I'll do something, I call it like the elephant drill, where I'll just kind of I'll go my bat forward, and on the third time I'll come back and I'll swing. So I have a nice fluid motion to my swing. Everything's fluid. So that's the rhythm aspect. It's not just start, stop, go, or step, wait, swing. But there is rhythm, there is fluidity to my swing. So that's the rhythm portion. Timing portion for it is kind of like I said before, where for me, timing is all about barrel delivery. when I deliver this barrel, when it's in the zone and has a chance to hit the baseball. So how can I load and feel ready to deliver my barrel to the point and beat the ball to the spot that the pitch is coming into? My barrel, I want to think about my barrel beating the ball to the spot that the ball is going to be. I don't want to just meet the ball there. I want to beat it there. So everything I do, the timeline of what I do, right? So you guys have seen a timeline in school before. There's a timeline from beginning to end, and the beginning is the start, or should I say here? I don't know. The beginning is the start of your swing, and this is your gather, your negative move coming back, your hands loading, and this end point here, this is contact with the ball. So there's all these things that are going to happen to get to contact. So I don't want to go slow, fast, or can I just figure out that rhythm, that timing, that dance with the pitcher so my barrel is ready to be delivered by the time it gets to here? So that timing is I am loading up, I am stretching out that rubber band so that when I see the pitch and my mind is saying swing, it is when that ball is at my perfect contact point, at that spot where I want to make contact. And for us, it's going to be a little bit out in front. So like I'm sure maybe you guys have seen this before. I call it like a hidden compass. We have the pitch that's away, middle, and in. This is my hidden compass. So my timing for the pitch that's in is I'm going to recognize that the pitch is in, and I'm going to make contact to it where my barrel can drive that ball in the left center gap. So it's usually about my front foot lands even with the front of the plate. Then I am able to make contact just slight for the outside pitch, even to slightly out in front of my front foot. Middle's a little further out in front, and inside's even further out in front. So that's where my timing, where my barrel needs to be ready to make contact. So all those things in the timeline have to happen with some fluidity to it, with the rhythm of it, so I can load up and I'm ready to deliver and fire. Natan, anything you want to add to that?
Yeah, sure. Something I told a few of my guys that I've been in touch with for a while. Rhythm, I would say, is any pre-movement of the barrel, any movement that I do, anything that I load, and timing is a forward movement of my barrel into the hitting zone. That's how I would call it. But
Nice.
good answer. Very, very good.
Yeah. So, and hopefully you guys take and here's the thing, guys, and I love that Ofir is setting up this dialogue where you guys can hear how different baseball guys think and what they've learned, because everything that I've learned from coaches before me. So, and I have taken all that information that I've gotten and I've funneled it into what's helpful for me. Because if a coach says something and it's bullshit, or I'm like, that ain't it, that ain't gonna work for me, I'm not gonna say that. I'm gonna say yes sir, and I'm gonna try it, and I'm gonna be coachable, but then I'm gonna figure out how I can use that to my advantage, because there's probably another way to say it where it actually is going to work for me. Because at the end of the line, the coaches want you to be the best version of yourselves. So trying out these things that the coaches are trying to work with you on is really important, and figure out how it can help you so you can help future players down the line.
Got Aviad wants to ask a question.
Hi. My question is should there any times should there be a situation that I should sit on off-speed stuff? Like, let's say I see a pitcher throwing a lot of off-speed and 2 strike counts. Should there ever be a situation that like I should sit on that and like try to foul off the fastball or something like that?
Nice. Good question. So with 2 strikes, this pitcher's consistently going to his breaking ball. I don't like to then necessarily sit the breaking ball because I don't want to miss the fastball. But at the same time, if his fastball isn't hard enough to beat you, then you have a chance. So you see how you're always going to take something and give something away. So if you can sit breaking ball, if you can think fastball and just think fastball further away to right field, are you a right-handed hitter or left-handed hitter?
Left-handed.
Left-handed hitter. Okay, let's do it this way. Okay, so if you can think further over the shortstop or even a little bit further, it's the same thing as sitting breaking ball because you're going to hit the fastball over there, and it's going to be really hard to be early to the fastball because you're thinking be on time that way, which means if he throws you an off-speed pitch, you'll catch it and probably line it up the middle. So if it is something that you can do and you know a breaking ball is coming and you're good at it, you should absolutely try it out. I'm not going to tell you no, don't do it, but I'm also going to say that you need to figure out that if you can still catch up and hit a fastball in that count too. So if you've done your studying, you've watched the pitcher, you know what he's throwing, absolutely put yourself in the best position to succeed. Also at the same time, make sure that you're working on that in flip, working on that in BP, and a coach throwing it to you and see if that approach is going to work for you. Because I can tell you what to do, but the best thing that's going to happen is for you to formulate and keep working on what your approach is. Because my approach has changed. Every time, every game I play, my approach changes just a little bit because I've learned more every single game.
Okay, thank you.
Stuff. Any more?
Mitch, you spoke about spin as well, right? A lot of guys say ID spin, ID. Hey, what's he throwing? Is that you see that just out of the hand? Also, if you do see out of the hand, is there a way a pitcher could hide it for our pitchers and for our older guys who want to go play high levels? How do ID spin and does rhythm help with that?
Right. So I think the ability to see the ball as long as you can is going to give you the chance to recognize that spin. And pitch recognition is so important, and it's important to try to pick the ball up early and to when you're hitting, what kind of focus that you have with your eyes. It's not like I really want to try to see it and try to pick up every seam in it. You have to be nice and relaxed when you're looking. If you have that hard focus, it's going to be really difficult to pick up anything. So just making sure your body, and I'm sure Penpray has talked about the breath, being nice and relaxed, giving your eyes the best possible chance to pick up that hand as soon as possible. To tell you the truth, I don't know exactly when I see spin. I think I see it once the ball leaves the hand, and then I'm seeing the hump in the pitch, or I'm seeing the spin that's not familiar.
So it's more the height of the pitch, you're saying?
I think that's where I pick it up. And honestly, I'm not exactly sure, but the reason why I was good at it is because in college in high school I hit in the middle of the order. So the pitchers
around you
stop, throw breaking stuff. And your brain is unbelievable, fellas. Your brain can learn from activity. If you have deliberate focus, if you have deliberate practice and you're practicing in a focused manner, and your brain will pick things up. And that's why if I face the best softball pitchers and they throw me a rise ball, I've never seen that pitch before. So my brain has no idea what that looks like. So I'm probably just going to swing at it 10 times out of 10 and miss it. So because we're baseball players, our brains are programmed a certain way. So the way we practice and all those little things we do are going to help us get better. So I think it's being able to pick up and knowing how we focus. So to get back to the question at hand, how we focus when the pitch is coming, nice and relaxed, that is going to put us in a position to see either his grip is different or the ball is different as early as possible.
Right, good. Wow, man, I can go out talking baseball for hours.
Yeah. Sorry, guys.
We gotta wrap this up though. Guys, so again, just a few key things to remember for you guys. And I think something that came along throughout all the conversation, all the talks, and I don't think it's just, to repeat, everyone was important for them to stress their routine and the things that they do because it's important to have it. That's how we become better. I mean, it sounds sometimes I feel like we do all these talks, Mitch, and then sometimes we're like, we're saying the same thing, right? We're saying a lot of the same things,
Totally.
right? And we've been talking a lot of the same things for years and years, but in the end of the day, like you said, you coach the same things throughout the years. In the end, there are very few basics we need to get better at, and then we just need to own it. um, so figure out an approach. If you want to discuss it and think about it, us coaches, we're here and open for it for you. I think who sent it to the Zev, right? The pitching app, at least in the U18 group. These will help you, right? Use it. See pictures. Try and recognize spin on the ball. I mean, I know it's something that I always struggle with, and I didn't work on it enough. As a kid, no one was like, you need to do that. There were no curveballs in Israel till 2002. So, you know, you gotta get better at this. This is what makes you better ball players. Yeah, so I hope you guys enjoy it. Wish you all happy Pesach. We'll stay in touch. We'll talk. We'll see what's up. Mitch, thanks a lot for coming up for us. Appreciate it.
Absolutely, fellas.
Yeah. All right, guys. So thanks a lot, Mitch. Stay in touch. I'm waiting to see you back here.
Absolutely. Looking
Yeah,
forward to
be
seeing you
soon.
guys.
Yeah, be soon. We'll go eat something good. We'll go eat something good this time. We won't let Dan take us to some place with no food.
Sounds good to me.
All right, guys. All right.
Thanks, Mitch.
Got it, fellas. Take care. See you guys. Awesome. And if you guys have any questions, talk to coaches or reach out to me. Ofir is my number. I'm happy to answer any questions, anything about routine. But bottom line, for the players that want to get better, it's figure out what that routine is, identify your strengths and weaknesses, and get better every day. Get a little better every day. If you're not crushing your core right now, working out and getting stronger, even if it's not for baseball, do it for the ladies. It doesn't matter. Crush your core right now, get stronger, find a way so that you can be the best version of yourself. Because what separates a lot of 13-year-olds, a lot of 14-year-olds, a lot of 30-year-olds is how strong we are. And we can control some of those things if we're working on it. So get better every day, fellas. Awesome talking to you guys.
All right. Thanks, Mitch.
Thank you.
See you guys.